Who wants to build generational wealth? Okay, if you're in this room and you did not just cheer, you're in the wrong room. You gotta go. You gotta go. You guys have probably heard me say this before. Multifamily is for building generational wealth. It is to get to financial freedom. So with that, let's talk about what's happening in the market today, right? Your money is becoming less and less valuable when it's sitting there. Why? Because of inflation, right? Everybody is feeling the effects of inflation. Those that had an income between $30,000 to $100,000, 75% said that they're falling behind on keeping up with costs as of last June because of inflation. Real estate is one of the best tools that anybody can use to build generational wealth and to get to early retirement. So let's talk about what you need to retire, right? If you need an income of $120,000, oh yeah, everyone take out your calculators because I'm gonna make you do math. I'm gonna wake you up by doing math problems today. Okay, if you need $120,000 in income, if you assume that you can draw down a 4% rate every year to make your money last forever and ever and ever until the day you die, that means that you need to take $120,000 divided by 4%, and you're gonna get to $3 million. That means you need to have $3 million invested today to withdraw 4% a year for the rest of your life and leave with $120,000 per year, okay? So I want you guys to all think, and this doesn't count inflation, it doesn't account for any kind of changes in the portfolio or sudden drops or increases in the stock market. This is just like an average, right? So okay, I want everybody to think about what is the number you need today per year to retire. And it can be anything, it'll be different for everybody, right? Like you might say 100,000, you might say 500, you might say a million, you might say 2, it doesn't matter, whatever that number is for you. I want you to put that number into your calculator. Now, I want you to take that number and divide it by 0.04, okay? That number that you got now is what you are going to need to have in order to have that money last, that income last you yearly for the rest of your life until you die, okay? So now we see where we need to go, right? And we know that we need to get there to retire. So where does smart money go during inflationary periods, right? They go to income producing real estate. They go to tax efficient vehicles like real estate. Multifamily is particularly great because it's one, a hard asset, but two, you can get to scale. It's very hard to go out and buy 500 units at a time if you're doing it one by one by one. But with multifamily, you can do that with one asset under one roof. So that's the power of the scalability piece of multifamily. So who should be investing in multifamily? Multifamily is not for people that are lazy. It's not for people that are not passionate about real estate. It's not, if building generational wealth or getting to financial freedom is not your goal or your focus, you don't need to be in multifamily. You can do that through many other ways. You can do other things. You can get a W-2. You can work a 9 to 5. And that's okay, right? That's a path for some people. But we're all in this room right now probably because that's not our end goal, right? Like we all want to kind of get out of the rat race, get out of the struggle. We want to be able to build that wealth, not just for, like I build this not just for me, not just for my kids. I want to build wealth for generations that haven't been born yet. Right? Like that's my ultimate goal. And that's why multifamily is such a great vehicle because it gives you the power to actually be able to do that. So if you don't want to do those things, then multifamily is not for you. Or if you don't want to do those things, then multifamily is for you. If you want to be building generational wealth, this is where multifamily comes in. So let's do some math. I'm so excited about this. Okay, this is where you're gonna see like the total geek in me. So I wanna show you guys exactly how you can add more money to your net worth to get closer to that retirement goal. So let's assume that you buy just 30 units, okay? You buy 30 units, and this is where your calculator is gonna come in handy. So you're gonna take your 30 units. And let's say that we are going to bring those units up to market value. Maybe we're gonna renovate them, maybe not, but let's just assume for simplicity's sake that we're gonna add $200 a month in rent, okay? So I want you to do 30 times 200. Okay, and then we have 12 months in the year. So we're going to multiply that by 12. Okay, what do you guys get? You guys have calculators. I know it from doing it in my head. You all have calculators in front of you, 72,000, right? So now we're going to assume that we have this asset at a 5% cap rate. Okay, and this is just like an average. Sometimes it's going to be 4, sometimes it's going to be 6, but generally speaking, around a 5% cap rate. So you're going to divide that 72,000 by 0.05, by 5%. What number do you get? Okay, so by generating an additional $200 per unit on a 30-unit property, you've now added $1.44 million to your net worth. Because that's how much equity you have in the asset, because this is how multifamily assets are valued compared to single-family assets. Multifamily assets are a business. You are evaluating a business based on the income of the business. The business happens to be real estate, but it's not like a single-family home where it matters what the comps are doing in the area. What happened on your neighbor's property 6 months ago? I don't actually care what you sold your property for a year ago. What I care about is how much income can I generate on my assets. So this is one example. Let's do another example of some multifamily math, right? Let's say you have 50 units. And let's say in this asset, you're only gonna get $100 a month per rent. So let's go through and do the math together. So we're gonna do 50 times 6,000.
50 times 100, 5,000.
Yes. Okay, you're skipping steps. Got it, yes. So you're gonna do 50 times 100, right? Because that's per month. And there's 12 months in the year. And then let's assume the same 5% cap rate. What do you guys get? There we go. Yes, $1.2 million. So in different scenarios, you can generate different outcomes, right? So now if this was going to get you a $200 increase in monthly rent, now this number is going to change to $2.4 million. So now you see the power of multifamily and the scale that we get to pretty quickly. And because cap rates play such an important part in multifamily valuation, we can see that it's very sensitive to each dollar you add. Are you guys with me so far? Yes? Okay, not overwhelming you? Okay, why is my clicker not working? Okay, so this means that if you need to get to that $3 million that we had talked about to get to $120,000 of annual income every year, you need to have one or so multifamily units of 30 units, adding $200 or more to get to that number in 2 years. 2 years. So you can go from 0 to $3 million with relatively small assets in 2 to 3 years. That's life-changing. And when you understand that, you know that, now you can take steps to make that happen, make that a reality, right? So there's 2 major ways to do this. You have your slow way and you have your fast way, okay? So imagine if you owned a 200-unit multifamily complex. Let's say it's $80 million and it throws off $100,000 in cash flow every month. Okay, let's say you guys own that. I want you to imagine this for a second. If you own that, how many of you guys can retire off of $100,000 a month? Yeah? Okay, some of you guys are not raising your hand, so I want to know, like, how much is it going to take you to retire? Because I can live off of $100,000 a month. Okay, so let's assume that everyone in this room can make it work and scrape by on the $100,000 a month that we're talking about, right? Okay, so there's 2 ways to get to that end game of 200 units, $80 million property, right? The first way is going to be the slow way, right? This is with friends, family, maybe 5 of you guys come together, you each put in $100,000, you put up $500,000, and you guys buy an asset together, and you manage, and you operate it, and it's great, and you make a lot of money, and you sell it, and you use what's called a 1031 exchange. This is a tax-efficient vehicle, highly tax-efficient vehicle. Actually, it might be one of the most advantageous tax laws that we have in place today, and it's always on the chopping block, so we never know when it's going to go away, but right now it's there, and we have to take advantage of it while it is in play. So you're going to 1031 your 10plex, okay, with your friends and family, and maybe you turn it every 3 to 5 years, okay? So 3 years later, you're going to say, okay, we sold the 10plex, let's go buy 30 units together. We're going to 1031 into 30 units. Okay, great. We're going to go 3 years later, 5 years later, we're going to sell that, and then we're going to go to 80 units. Now, 80 units, something magical happens, right? Anything above around 70, 75 units, something magical happens. You no longer have to be actively managing real estate, right? Because now, this 80-unit asset can support the cost of having on-site maintenance. So now you can have a leasing manager, now you can have a maintenance manager, and guess what? The leaky toilet in unit 102, who cares? You don't even have to know about it because you have someone on site dedicated to your asset to take care of that. You don't have to make those day-to-day decisions. You don't have to be in the weeds of it. Now you can focus on growing the business and growing the strategy overall. So, okay, you get to 80 units, and then maybe 3 to 5 years later, you finally work your way up and get to 150 units, and then you guys see where I'm going with this, right? Like then eventually you get to the 200 units and $80 million, and you've done great, but now you look back and it's taken you 20, 25, 30 years to do it. And if you're young, that might be the right way for you. But if you don't have as much time to retirement, or you want to get there quicker, or you want to do that sooner, you have to take the shortcut, right? And that's what I like to call the fast way. And this is what I did. I actually took the fast way into it because what I did was I went out and I learned how to raise other people's money and leverage other people's money. So we talked about the financial friends model, but the fund model is where you can go out, you can pool together 30 investors at a time, 50 investors, 100 investors at a time to go out and raise that capital to buy those bigger deals. Now here's the key that I think a lot of people miss when we're talking about it, because it's very exciting, it's glamorous, it's glitzy, it's fun, it's quite an adrenaline rush when you close on 200 units or $80 million properties. But the thing you need to know is you cannot do it just by yourself. It takes a community, it takes a team.